Thanks for watching our video. Before we move on to the fun stuff, go ahead and pause this video and take a look at our disclaimer.
Welcome everyone. This is Team NewDay, and today we are here to talk with January Johnston, who is a physical therapist, mom of 5, and travel agent. And so before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Rachel Lynn, and I am your communication and feeding expert. And Amanda, would you go next?
Sure. Amanda Ray, sensory, fine motor, and feeding expert.
And I'm Amber. I am your gross motor guide.
All right. And we have January. Hi, January.
Hello.
I'm so glad that we've got it together and we were able to put it on today.
I know it's been a process to get the connection.
One of the things that we like to do is there's 3 questions that we always like to ask the people that we interview, just to kind of like icebreakers. So the question that I'd like to ask you, January, is what is something that you are doing to take care of you?
Presently, I actually have a nap scheduled every day in my schedule so that I can kind of refresh and relax and just kind of regenerate for the rest of the day.
Awesome.
Amazing.
It's great. Yeah, and then I'll go next. I love to learn. That's just kind of who I am. So I love to ask people what books they're currently reading or what podcasts they're listening to right now. So anything that you're consuming that you'd like to touch on.
Actually, it's kind of funny because I just got a new book that I'm about to start. It's called Population 1. It just happens to be here on my desk with me. It's a first-person narrative of a young man who has autism and kind of his journey through life and what his experience is looking at the world through his eyes. So that's kind of what I'm looking at right now.
Very cool.
Fascinating.
That's great. In January, what kind of music do you listen to?
I have a huge playlist of just a variety. I like country, I like pop, I like some alternative, I like some rock. I mean, it's just classical. It kind of depends on the mood of how I'm feeling and what I need to accomplish. And I just use music to kind of facilitate what I'm doing that day. If I need calming, then I go to kind of more classical and calming and relaxing. My daughter is in this huge ABBA phase right now. So we get a lot of dancing queen dancing parties and things like that around the house. So
fun.
It's just a huge variety of music that I like.
And isn't that so true how music changes your vibe, right? If you need something to get you going, you'd listen to something with a really good beat and
Yes.
Awesome.
That is great.
One of the things that we also need to know from you, January, is can you tell us a bit about yourself and about your background?
Well, I'm a mom of 5. I have 4 boys and 1 girl. My oldest son is 23 and he is autistic. My youngest son is 6 and he is also autistic. So we have kind of a span. And then I have 2 other boys and my daughter, who's the only girl. She used to be the youngest at 16 until the little one came along. I have those 5 wonderful kids. I just have a new granddaughter, which I'm so excited about.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. She is almost 5 months old now. So super excited.
She's just real sweet and little. Yeah, I've been told that being a grandparent is like the best thing in the world. Now I hear that from my parents and my husband's parents. So
yes, it is wonderful. She is such a sweetheart. It's just different when it's a grandchild. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little different. So I'm also a PT. So I've been doing pediatrics for a very long time. I had 12 years of experience in clinical doing pediatrics and general orthopedic. And then I've been doing early intervention with 0 to 3-year-olds since 2007. And more recently, I've been school-based. So kind of seeing the views from lots of different angles, clinic, home, and now the schools.
Yeah, a little bit
So
everywhere.
a wide variety of
Yeah.
experience behind me.
That's really great though. I think it's really unique whenever someone who works in either early intervention or in the school system has that previous clinical experience. As a PT who's done both clinical and EI, I haven't done school yet, but it's in the cards. But I think that, I did clinical work in pediatrics first as well. I think it's so important because there's a lot of stuff that's missed if you go straight into EI or straight into the school system that you might not pick up on because you didn't get that time in the clinic. So that's really unique. I love that you're kind of bringing in all your experience from all of those different settings.
Yeah, and it was really the experience of being a mom and a PT that brought me to my last adventure. Well, it may not be my last adventure, but my latest adventure. And that's as a certified autism travel professional. So I've combined all of that experience, the knowledge, because when it's your own kid, it's a little bit different than when you're seeing it from a professional's eyes. But being able to kind of combine my experience as mom and how we're traveling and how we're doing things with the ideas and the knowledge of a PT of what's accessible, what's not, what are some of the sensory things that we can do, and then how to apply that to a trip so that more families can experience travel. Because when you have someone with autism and special or just general special needs like CP, there are things that you may not think about when traveling, or there are things that may prohibit you from wanting to travel because it's hard. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. There's a lot of extra things that you have to do. And it's exciting to me now because I can combine all of this knowledge and all of this experience to help others and to have some of the memories and experiences that we've had or that they have always wanted to have, but find it too daunting to try and do.
And
I think
January,
that's
just to say, isn't it true too that there are like tricks and secrets? Like there are some places that you can go that if you just say the right thing or ask for the right, what's the word?
Accommodation.
Accommodation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Ding, 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 ding. If you ask for the right accommodation, that they'll give it to you.
there are certain trips or tricks that you can do. Most airports now have resources for individuals who have autism. So they'll have a quiet space that's reserved for you so that you can access if it's too busy, if it's too crazy, if you just need some sensory regulation and things like that. They also use like a sunflower on luggage or on like a button on you so that just at a glance they can say, oh, okay, they may need additional services or additional support,
Oh,
things
I
like that.
love
And
that.
you can
I had no
call.
idea. I've done a lot of traveling since I'm currently based in Germany, and I had no idea that the sunflower was
Yeah.
a thing. That's great.
So there's lots of little things like that. There are also destinations like Legoland is now all of their North American locations are now certified autism centers. So they have all of their rides that give you the sensory information for those rides. They have specific locations throughout the park that meet different sensory needs. So if you need low sensory stimulation, they have those places that you can go just so you
That's
can get that sensory regulation and be able to manage the day there with your family.
That's phenomenal. It's so interesting. I've run into so many parents throughout my career who have said, "Oh no, we don't travel," because they just view it as really impossible, just something that they can't do as a family because of the fact that they have children with special needs. This is just a phenomenal service. And I do think that we're seeing more and more that, to your point with the airports, but also like resorts and facilities have more and more accommodations for children with special needs. I remember coming across a particular one, in doing some research to travel, that advertised having a daycare facility. It was an all-inclusive resort. They have a daycare facility, and the daycare staff are all trained in working with, family members or children, that are on the autism spectrum. So I just thought that was so cool but I
Yes.
happened to just stumble upon it. I think a great next question for you, January, is what are some common misconceptions about traveling with children who have special needs, and how do you address those?
Well, one was kind of personal experience just recently. My youngest son is an incredibly picky eater. I mean, it's even as far as like macaroni noodles versus shells. He'll eat one at school and one at home, but you can't mix the two, or you can't mix up which one is home and which one is school, because he won't eat it. It's the same thing, but he won't eat it. So when we went to Costa Rica and I was planning that trip, I was really, really worried about what food he would be eating. So we brought a lot of his safe foods with us. But when we got there, it was a totally new environment, and he was willing to try new foods. The
Wow.
first 3 days, he actually tried one new food at every meal. And it was incredible. It just like, wow, who is this kid? But I think when you are in a different environment, there is that potential, whether it's food or activities or sensory, like sand. Kiddos who have never been to the beach before, sometimes that sand is just amazing. And you would have never thought that they would even go in the sand because of past experiences. So I think we do plan for those things. We can bring extra food, and we can bring safe foods and things like that, so they always have a safe food. But also know that in new environments, they may be more willing to try things and do things, and not to just put them in a box to say that, oh, they won't do that because they don't do it at home.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
so important.
Yeah,
it
that's really
is.
good stuff.
January, how do you prepare for a trip with your family to just make sure that it goes smoothly?
So we do a lot of prepping. Like the first time he went on an airplane, we went to the airport ahead of time, spent some time in the airport, explored it, so he had some idea of what it's going to be like. We did social stories so that we're able, like when we go to the airport, we're going to check in and give them our bags. We're going to go through TSA. We got to take our shoes off. We got to put all of our stuff in the bins. The first time, I forgot that he can't carry his blanket with him through the metal detector.
Mm.
So I didn't prep that. So we had a little bit of a meltdown. So that's definitely one thing, because he gave up his iPad, he gave up his toy, so those could all go through, and he took off his shoes without a problem, but I forgot about the blanket. So we just got to make sure that we're prepping those things and making sure that, if they do have a special item that they carry with them and use as a comfort thing, that, if you're going through TSA, that you prep them for that. So it's going to go in the bin, it's going to get a picture, and then you get it back. So social stories were huge for us for prepping and planning ahead of time.
Yeah, that was a
Calling
mistake that I made as well. We have this Bluey stuffed animal, and it wasn't her first time on a plane, but it was her first like toddler experience on a plane. I just totally forgot, and I just like ripped Bluey like I'm like in my zone, and I just like take Bluey from her, and then she's like, "What have you done?" Like we're standing in line, and she's pointing and she's getting more and more upset. Bluey, 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 and I'm like, "It's okay, it's fine. They have to make sure Bluey's safe to go on the plane. It'll be okay." And I thought I should have done a better job preparing her for this. So yeah, those are really, really great tips. And I think that's a good example that for parents too who are watching this, even though I'm a PT and I have a kiddo and we travel a lot, I make mistakes. I forgot. Like you're a certified what did you say? It's certified autism
travel professional.
travel professional. Thank you. I can see the letters, but I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
I got it right. But like you have this special certification. but like you still make mistakes as well. And we learn from them, we deal with it in the moment, and then we move on and we don't dwell on those things. So I think that those are really
Exactly.
great examples for our viewers to see, like, we're not perfect and we're not expecting them to be perfect, but we want to give them tips and tricks on how to make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and sharing our experiences is really important too. So
yes.
we learn. What were you going to say, January?
Well, I think too, having a skeleton plan is the
Mhm.
best, because if you plan every minute of every day on your vacation, it doesn't go well. And I think we have to remember that it's okay to have downtime. It's okay to, when we sit down as a family to decide where we're going next and what we want to do, we make a list of our absolute must do. And if it's nice, we'd like to different activities, so that if we come to a day when it's just been a long day, it's hot, or something didn't quite go right, and the little guy is dysregulated and we're not able to do all of the things that we planned, we're able to do those must have absolutes. And then the other things we can work in as we're able to. And if we don't get to them, we know, because we talked about it ahead of time, that it's okay. We'll do it another trip. But we have that flexibility and that plan ahead of time, that we know we may not do everything. It's okay if we don't do everything. We need some of those break times in there. And if we come to a time when we don't need a break and we can get another activity in there, fantastic. But those breaks and things are built in so that we have some flexibility. And then it's not so stressful, because then you can relax and just enjoy each other and enjoy the moment and the time that you have.
And January is such a good point, even for even for people that are traveling with no children, or with older kids, or all of it. It's such a good. It's so stressful to have each moment planned, and oh gosh, we got to get to the train. Oh no, what are we gonna do? We're gonna miss. And it really takes away from the enjoyment of, okay, these are our core things. These are the things that we want to make sure we do. We give ourselves plenty of time to do it, and then if we're able to do it in a quicker time, hey, let's put something else in there. One more question I had for you, though, is when did you start traveling as a family with your youngest with autism? How old was he?
So he was 3.5
Oh,
when we started traveling. It was at that time his dad had just passed away. And 3 months after he passed away, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So it was at that time, it's like, it's hard, but we have to do things to create those memories and to have this time as a family. And I remembered growing up, our favorite Christmases was when we went on a trip, not when we got presents. So it was those traveling things that really stuck with me growing up. And then I asked my kids as they got older, I said, what are your favorite memories? And almost every single one of them said it was from a trip we had made. And they all referenced one specific trip where we went to Goblin Valley and went camping with all the cousins and aunts and uncles, and played capture the flag at night with glow sticks. And I
Oh,
mean,
that's so fun.
so all of these travel experiences and things, those are the things that really impact our lives and impact who we are, the cultures that we're able to experience, the places, the time together as family units. So I knew I wanted all of that for my son, despite how hard it was. I mean, we couldn't even go to a restaurant to eat as a family because it was too overstimulating for my son. So one of us would wait outside with him while the other one ate. And when they finished eating, we would flip flop and change places. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I knew it was those memories that we needed to continue making and the relationships we needed to continue forging. So we've been doing some pretty good traveling since he was about 3.5 years old now.
Yeah.
That's great. I just love that concept of creating those memories. And your your children basically emphasizing that is what's more important than gifts or really anything else, is just building those memories and using travel as a way to do that. That's so cool. Now you get to do that for other people as well. Like
Yes.
it helped them. I mean, that's so incredible. Is there a particularly like a memorable travel experience that you organized for a family with special needs that you'd like to share?
I think just it's hard to say because each family has different needs and have different desires. Like there are some that want to go on airplanes and beaches and all-inclusive resorts and all of that. And then there are some that just want to go camping,
Mm.
so a close distance. We found out that one of our state parks here have gladiator chairs that you can rent. It's a motorized wheelchair with tracks, like a tank. It's got the tracks that go around instead of the wheels. So they can go off-roading and hiking and things through that area, and they don't have to take their power chairs. It's more accessible for them. So, I mean,
Incredible.
just getting the family who is in a power wheelchair to be able to go camping and hiking together. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a pretty special experience for that family.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And
it's really
that's a really challenging situation to be in too, right? Because I'm sure that access to like an accessible RV or some sort of accessible camper is probably really difficult too. And I'm sure that you're just a great resource for people who are maybe in your area or maybe even outside of your area to find things like that. Not everybody knows that is an option, especially if it's not well advertised.
right. So it's hard to say what's my favorite. We had a friend going to California. They took their daughter who's in a wheelchair out to the beach because that's what she wanted. Um, so down at the beach, at certain beaches, they even have wheelchairs that are accessible for the beach with the big inflatable tires, some
Mhm.
that even float so you can take them all the way out into the water. There's an amazing accessible playground right there on the beach there in California, Southern California as well. So we were able to hook them up with a beach chair rental with directions to the adaptive playground, all of these different things. So it's really nice to be able to, that was their dream, was going to the beach. So how do we make it possible? The others was just camping close by. Um, so it's just to get anyone to be able to travel and have those experience. Those are the things that, they're special to the families. It makes a difference. That's what I'm after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and January, Colorado is such a gorgeous state. Like even just knowing all of that information about the parks, people are probably going, "Hey, I want to go check out Colorado," and what a great place to go, to reference you and to ask you how to be able to do that in a way that their child can access the beauty. That's really cool. What would you say, January, are the must-have items or tools that you recommend to families so that they bring with them um, as they travel with children with special needs?
Well, it's going to be, again, different for each family based on needs. You need to have your medications, some safe foods, um, comfort items, um, and then it's going to depend on where it is you're going. If you're going camping, then you got to do bug sprays and, different things like that. So, I mean, it really depends on the vacation that you're looking for. Um, passports, maps, entertainment, all kinds of different things. So it's hard to say, like, here are 5 things you have to have for any vacation. I can tell you 5 things you should have for like a cruise, or 5 things you should have in your um, backpack when you go on an airplane. So, I mean, I'm sorry I can't be more specific.
No, that's okay. Let's
Um,
do can you give us the airplane ones? Because I know that airplane travel is really, really popular. especially to get places that are like really far away. So can you give us our like your top 3 must-haves for the airplane?
So what I really like for the airplane is a comfort item or a blanket, some form of entertainment, headphones, and snacks. Sorry, that was 4.
That's okay. You don't
But
I don't mean to
um,
limit you. Snacks are a good one though.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been
so
I've been down
most
that train.
yes, and most airlines don't give you snacks. They charge you for snacks.
Right.
So making sure that you have some snacks that they will eat and can keep them occupied. Also, if you have something to eat when you take off and when you land,
Mhm.
it helps with the ears and the pressure in those ears so that they're not getting that tight, awful feeling that you can get when you need the pressure regulated. So
That's such a
giving them
good point.
something to eat or drink at those times is really good to have and is less dysregulating for kiddos if you have it.
Yeah.
Headphones, so either a noise canceling or ones that can put music or their videos so that they have some distraction from the overall noise. Airplanes are pretty loud, so having that is going to be important. Entertainment. Some people like the iPad, put in a video, put in some music, have some games on the iPad. Make sure they're downloaded before you leave because you may not have Wi-Fi to download them when you're on your way. Other things that I like to do is because my son has his own seat, he gets to bring his own backpack. So in that, we go to the dollar store, and actually I have one, just the little pencil boxes. They stack really easily in a backpack, and we usually bring 2 or 3 of those for activity boxes. So in one box, my son loves Legos. So I glued a Lego plate on the top, and then he can fill it with Legos and things so he can build with Legos throughout the flight.
Yeah,
Then
genius.
Yeah.
we have another activity box that has like his little dinosaurs, and right now he's into Godzilla. So we have Godzilla and King Kong figurines and things that he can play with and pull out in the airplane. And then when we're done, it just goes in the box and back in the backpack. They're really easy to access. They're easy to put some of the favorite things that they like. A Play-Doh box is another one that's really good to use and keeps them busy on the airplane. So if you don't want to do the iPad or you want an alternative, those activity boxes are great and easy to put together for your kiddos.
That's so helpful, January. Thank
Love
you.
it.
What a great
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah,
Welcome.
great tips. Great tips. And January, I know that you had mentioned earlier about a couple of different locations that you really like because they have good accessibility options already. So I think you said Legoland was a good one.
Mhm.
Are there for people who are looking to travel but they don't necessarily have a specific destination in mind. They're just looking for something that's going to be easily accessible and fun for their family. They don't have like an idea of like a cruise or a beach or something. Is there like a resort chain or a specific location that you often refer people to because like they just are really good and they have a good reputation for providing the services for families with kids with special needs?
Well, Beaches Resorts is amazing. They partner with Sesame Street,
Oh,
and
that's
one of the
fun.
characters, Zoe, is autistic.
Yeah.
So they have those characters that roam around the resorts, and all of their staff are certified for working with kids with autism or individuals with autism because they have
Oh,
older
neat.
ones too. So their daycare providers are autism providers, so to speak.
Yeah.
So they're more equipped to be able to work with these kids, have activities for the kids, and then parents can have time to themselves. Or they also arrange activities for the whole family to participate in.
Mhm.
And then once a year, they do a autism week where they bring in families with kiddos who have autism and they have activities and things planned for the entire week for the family there at the resort.
Wow.
And
Oh,
that's they
wow.
do that one at the Jamaica resort. So it's a really neat one to go to.
Very
Um,
cool.
Legoland and SeaWorld are certified autism centers. So those are fun ones to go to. And I think Disneyland is one that most people want to take their kids to, and it can be incredibly difficult. But if you plan times on off times,
Mhm.
not when everyone usually goes, it's so much easier. And there's so many more resorts and locations that we can get to without the overstimulation, overpopulation of people and things
Yeah.
like that. So I think those are specific companies that do really well. But if we
That's
just look
great.
at destinations that you want, like the Disneyland, Disney World,
Yeah.
there's ways to do those easier with your kiddos.
Yeah. I think that you're so right. I think that sometimes Disney could probably do a little better, especially with the funds that they have available, right? But we recently, not recently, it's been over a year now. We were able to do Disney Paris, and we did that whenever my daughter was 4.5, 5-ish months old. And the one thing we did take advantage of were those baby care centers that they have in each park. And I know that that's something that's like worldwide at every Disney park. They have those baby care centers, and they had like of course the baby room, but then at Disney Paris, they had the bigger rooms that had like beanbag chairs and stuffed animals. And there was like, it was, I asked the one cast member, and she said that she believed that it was like soundproofed. So it was a little bit quieter in there. They always had a movie playing. So that was always an awesome option for us to like get our daughter away from like all of the things, because even for a little bitty baby, like she was way overstimulated.
Yes.
So like Disney is definitely, there, I think that you're right. Like if you plan it mindfully and then you use the resources that they offer, it can be a really, really rewarding trip. But man, like I think my husband and I, we started like a daily count of how many kids we passed that were just like losing their minds while we were at
Yeah.
Disney Paris. And we're like, solidarity, we're right there with you.
Yeah. And really, it doesn't have to be like that if you plan
Right.
ahead and
Mhm.
know that those kids get worn out. When we go to
Yeah.
Disneyland, we plan a nap. So we stay right next door to the hotel. We walk in, do some stuff in the morning. We come back for lunch to the hotel, take a nap, get some downtime, and then we can go back for the afternoon.
Yeah.
So if you just look at it a little bit differently and realize that you don't have to get everything in one day, then it's more relaxing. And if you're relaxed, your kids are more relaxed.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing, is just vacations should be fun, and they should be, I don't want to say all relaxing, but they should be enjoyable for everyone. And when you're having meltdowns and screaming and fits, it's not fun for anyone. So if you can just look ahead, put more planning into it, know the resources, know who to contact when you get to Disney to be able to get some of those accommodations and the lightning lanes and things like that.
Yeah.
It just makes vacation so much easier, and people are more willing to try it again.
Good point, January. And I loved, you're so right on as far as when we're regulated and calm, then we can pass that on to our kids. But if we're losing it because we don't even understand what's happening, then we're modeling that for our kids. And then they're like, okay, whoa. And you were just sharing, so at Disney World, for example, you have the lightning lanes. How can parents advocate for their children's needs during travel if they're at the airport or if they're at a hotel or other attractions? Is there like a way that they can navigate that?
So calling TSA ahead of time, at least 24 hours before your flight, and letting them know that you're traveling with a child with special needs or even an adult with special needs, they will provide those resources to help you, whether that's Like if it's a grandparent or someone who gets fatigued with walking, getting a wheelchair to help take them through TSA. Being able to, sometimes some of the airports have like little kits that they will give you that have like noise canceling headphones, some snacks, some different things in it for the kiddos so that you have that in case you forget it or don't have what you need. They have those things there. But it really just takes a couple phone calls before traveling. Same with some of the hotels. I mean, you really don't want a room on the first floor right next to the air or the elevator. Not a good position for a kiddo who needs more quiet. Finding those places in the hotel, we can make that call to the hotel to get a room placed in a certain area so that we're not right next to the busiest places there. A lot of it is just knowing kind of the calls to make. And I think what happens is people don't realize that travel agents don't charge fees to book trips for individuals. So it's like, why would I call a travel agent? It's just going to cost us more. Well, it's actually cheaper to go through a travel agent. They
Yeah,
don't
because you
charge
guys,
you.
yeah, you guys get the perks, you get your travel
Right.
agent rates, and yeah.
And it's the hotels and the resorts and the airlines, they're the ones that are paying us, not the clients that we are helping. So it's okay to give someone a call and say, hey, we want to go on this trip. Can you help us? Because we can call to make those reservations for the adaptive equipment. If you have an oxygen machine and you want to go on a cruise, how difficult is it to take that with you? Not a lot of fun, but we can make arrangements with companies to provide that on the ship for you so that you don't have to provide your own condenser. It's there on the ship for when you need it. Same with mobility devices. If you are traveling, but you don't have a wheelchair, but you need like a scooter for mobility, we can contact those companies and make arrangements for those pieces of equipment. We can call the hotel and make sure that they have a bed that's high enough for your wheelchair to transfer in and out of. We can make sure that if you have a lift, that it's not a box on the bottom, that it's actually a raised bed so you can slide the lift under the bed. So we can call and make those arrangements because not everyone thinks about those when they're trying to plan a vacation. We have resources. We can make the call to the airport ahead of time and say, hey, we have someone showing up who's traveling with kids with special needs. We need these things in place. Can you provide that for them? We can make sure that if they're doing a transfer from the airport to their hotel, that it's a handicap accessible transport, that it's not just a 4-door sedan car that you can't put your wheelchair in the trunk or transfer into, but it's actually a wheelchair accessible taxi. So those are just little things that we can take off of your plate to be able to make traveling a little bit easier and more manageable for you.
And also, January, to just help guide how many things to even get done or to plan for, right? Like, oh, hey, that's pretty ambitious. You might want to consider, less or this instead, or you're able, especially because you've traveled to so many places, like you can say, like, well, in my experience,
Yeah.
XYZ. And so, yes, it's going to be great, or maybe consider a different route or something else.
Well, one thing I do for people traveling to Disneyland is I give them information about each of the rides because I know from personal experience too, that if I take my son on Space Mountain, we're done for the rest of the day. He's not going to get on another ride. But if I take him to like Toad's ride, he does fine. He likes the side to side, quick stop and go kind of spinning, but the drops and the ups and downs, yeah, those don't go well. We break down the different rides and what kind of sensations and sensory stimulation and things you're going to get in those rides so that you can make the decision that, okay, we don't want to do the Nemo ride because you're in this tight, confined submarine that goes underwater and there's really no movement. But we can go on Mater's Crazy Tow ride because it just does the spins and the turns. It doesn't do the ups and downs. That's one thing that, as using my PT brain, my mom brain, we can combine that to know here are things you may want to avoid, but if you are really set, maybe look at it in this order of things. And if it's too much, you go on a ride and it's too much, here's a place where you can kind of reset and it's out of the way and kind of get back on track before you go back out into the crowd and on the rides.
Yeah. Wow, what an amazing resource like that you are specifically for these families who are traveling. That's just I can't imagine how important all of that information is. It's not just like, oh, hey, go spend your day at Magic Kingdom today and do Animal Kingdom tomorrow. Like you are breaking everything down. It's amazing. So for our viewers who watch this who may not be in the Colorado area, right? That's where you're located right now. Is there a website or like a travel agent finding service? Where can people go to find travel agents who are able to help them in this way, in this like specialized way? There are travel agents everywhere, but they're not all necessarily specialized to work with kids who have these special needs.
Right. We are currently building a database of what we call accessible travel planners.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, she's an OT, the one in Germany right now. She started the accessible travel planners and she's written a course that we're working on trying to get it ready for CEUs and things for therapists and travel agents, but it's for
Wow.
travel agents to be able to specialize in accessible travel. So there's resources, there's links, there's all kinds of things. We're going to have a database of all the certified accessible travel planners. And we actually have a team of almost 350, I think, OTs, PTs, speech therapists, so therapists that are also travel agents doing what I do and kind of
Wow.
linked. And if I don't know something, I have these 350 other people that I can reach out to say, hey, I need help with this, or you have special knowledge in this. Can I refer this family over to you?
It's
That's
phenomenal.
amazing. Yeah, you'll
So-
have to keep us updated on when, timelines and when that all launches, because we'd be happy to get that information out to community members and our viewers and our social media followers. We can definitely like blast that information because that's just it's huge. It's so important to have.
And right now I do all of my stuff through Facebook and Instagram. So they can always look up my name and find my profile to get more resources and links from
Great.
there about
Awesome.
travel.
What is your handle? Like, is it your first and last name, or is it with
Yes.
PT, or?
So I have my personal profile is January Johnston, and I do most of my travel stuff through that. But I also have Lasting Imprint Travel as a page. And if you just search Lasting Imprint Travel, it will bring you right to my Facebook page that gives you information. You can message me through there and I can refer you on to other individuals, or I can definitely help you kind of get to where you need to go or plan that trip for you.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah, and I'll
awesome.
make sure that I include whenever I go through and put this up on YouTube, I'll make sure to include all of that information in the description. So if you're looking for January, you'll be able to find her in the info below.
And January, as we get wrapped up, is there anything pressing that you would like to tell our audience? Any last thoughts?
I used to wait to travel, but now if we find the opportunity, we do it. You never know what time you're granted right now, and developing those relationships and making those trips really does make a lasting imprint on who you are. So take the trip. Don't wait.
Great advice.
Awesome advice. Well, January, it's been a pleasure. I don't know about you two, Amanda and Rachel, but I have learned so much. I'm excited to kind of share this with a couple of people that I have in mind from like previous caseloads, and I have friends who have kids with special needs. So I'm excited to share what I've learned.
And thank you very much for having me. And as you can tell, this is one of my passions. And if I can get families to be able to experience what we have, that's kind of my goal. Is
Yeah.
I don't want kids left home because it's too difficult. Make those memories.
Yeah.
Let's get people traveling, and it opens up your world. And I think you would be really surprised how well kids do traveling when you plan ahead and open up that world to them.
And memories are things that will never go away and, will last forever. So thank you so much, January, for coming on today.
Thank you guys.
And thank everybody for watching us today interview Miss January about travel with children with special needs, or children in general. Your information was just so valuable, period. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel below. I don't know where I'm pressing, but one of those. And we hope to see you next time. Girls, you want to try our slogan?
We sure can try. We'll embarrass ourselves in front of January.
From all of us
All
here
of us
at
at NewDay.
have a good
Have a good day.
day.
Awesome.